It'll be a quick review video of two-part epoxy and acrylic enamel paint. Since I can't remember and I don't have the specific products used, this is probably going to be more of a general idea review of the product. So about 4 or 5 years ago, as soon as I got the Rambler, I noticed there were cracks on the steering wheel. You can kind of see a little dent there, and you can probably barely tell, but there's a little bit of a difference there. And they were big cracks. There's a big crack here. I think there's another big one right over there. And I think somewhere along the outside as well, maybe there. I'm not sure. So what I did is I used two-part epoxy from one I got from it was more of a name brand. I got it from the automotive supply store. And the other one I just got from the dollar store, which was about, I think it was like 7 or 10 times cheaper. One cost about, I think it was 10 or 12 bucks. The other one was like $1.50 or maybe $2.50, something like that. Now the epoxy itself, 4 or 5 years later, as you can see, it's held up perfectly fine. So maybe not perfectly fine, but there's no major cracks. I can't see any cracking anywhere. And then I did some research. Back then I wasn't too sure what to use to paint the steering wheel. So I did some research, and I heard that my research suggested that they were painted with acrylic enamel. And that's a paint that's not commonly used. It's not a very common paint. I don't think it's used today anymore on modern crap with wheels on them. They're not cars. They're disposable pieces of plastic garbage with wheels on them. Sorry if that offends anybody. Hope it doesn't. But the truth is the truth, guys. But anyways, I was actually able to find a spray can of acrylic enamel. And the reason that they said it was so good is that it's fairly thick paint, and it's got a very good ability of spreading out. So you pretty much don't have to sand it at all. Regardless of even if you paint over a very rough surface, it still spreads out and evens it out. And sure enough, I used a can of that stuff, and the steering wheel came out perfect. It came out a beautiful finish, and it didn't require sanding, which would have been difficult with all these little details and little. So I was like I said, it was. But I think they only had that one can of acrylic enamel, probably only white. There wasn't a lot of it. But anyways, you should be able to find it somewhere, and it was great working with it. Now, 4 or 5 years later, the only bad thing that I noticed that has happened is that if I zoom in, you'll see these little tiny microscopic cracks everywhere. So unfortunately, it goes all around the steering wheel. Over here, I think we actually went through the original paint, so it's actually a bit more whitish than the new one that I used. So, but this is still much better than what it was before. But you get these little cracks. If the camera will decide to zoom in. There we go. So all around the steering wheel, we're getting these big fractures. And my explanation for this is that it stays. It's not. I don't think it's been harmed by sunlight. I think it's been harmed by the changes in temperature. So basically, in winter, we get to maybe 40 degrees below zero Celsius, and in summers we get 30 degrees above zero. So we're getting a 60-degree temperature difference. And in cold, the paint contracts, and then when it gets hot, it expands. And I think that's what causes all these little fractures. So, cracks and fractures. Now, so that's my only complaint. It's not perfect. It's far from perfect. But again, overall, if you look at the steering wheel, it still looks pretty good. And to be honest with you, the way it was painted originally, it kind of looked out of place because the whole car was rough. So overall, inside, you see somebody had this crap, and then here, whoever had it before painted it like crap. They actually used the paintbrush here. You can see all the paintbrush marks. So when I had the steering wheel recently just painted, it stood out because it looked like brand new. It looked very, very good, brand new. So it didn't look right. It didn't fit. Now it actually makes it look original. It actually looks like an original steering wheel. It doesn't look like it's like a rebuilt steering wheel. So in that sense, maybe it's not that bad. And again, it's just aesthetic. It's my daily driver. So I could actually tell that somebody that this is a steering wheel, that it's an original finish, and they'd probably believe me. So maybe that's good. But if you're looking for a professional, like a brand new show car finish, you want to make it look like it just came out of the factory, then perhaps acrylic enamel will not work for you. Again, you can't judge all paints or a certain type of paint based on one brand, one spray can. That would be unfair. But this certainly suggests that, I mean, it was a fairly good brand. So I'm pretty sure this suggests that if you're painting a steering wheel or something that expands and contracts, then you need to look for a different kind of paint that is softer. So, not softer, but more flexible. So you need to look for a paint that's more flexible. Now, on the dash, this is probably the original paint. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But overall, there are no cracks. And the reason is, in the car, there isn't any cracks. There aren't any cracks. And the reason is that steel doesn't contract as much as this kind of, it's not plastic. I think it's called Bakelite, if I'm not mistaken. This material here. If you have another theory for these little cracks, please share it with other viewers in the comments. Or even better, if you can refer us to a better product, let us know. So once again, as usual, I hope this helps, and thanks for watching.